Lila sat at the back of the math classroom, her pencil tapping a restless rhythm against her notebook. The room buzzed with the usual chaos. Whispers, crumpled paper balls, and the occasional laugh that cut through the air like a shard of glass. She kept her head down, her dark hair a curtain shielding her from the world. School hadn't always felt like this, a place where every corner hid a jab or a rumor. Lately, though, it was a battlefield, and she was losing. Her parents' divorce had hit hard. The shouting matches at home had stopped, replaced by a silence that weighed more than the fights ever did. She'd overheard her mom on the phone last night, voice trembling, saying she didn't know how to keep it together for Lila. It stung, knowing she was part of the mess they couldn't fix. Then, there was the note she'd found in her locker yesterday, scribbled in jagged handwriting. "Nobody likes you. Just leave." She'd crumpled it into her pocket, but the words stuck, sharp and unyielding. Across the room, Sadie leaned back in her chair, her glossy hair catching the light. She was the queen of this place, her every word a decree. Lila had once admired her, everyone did, but now she saw the cruelty behind the charm. Sadie had started the rumors about Lila's dad, whispering to anyone who'd listen that he'd gone to jail. It wasn't true, he'd just moved out, but the lie spread like wildfire, and Lila couldn't outrun it. The teacher, Mr. Hensley, clapped his hands, pulling her from her thoughts. "All right, settle down. Today we're talking about exponential growth. Can anyone tell me what it means?" A kid up front, Jake, shrugged. "Stuff that gets bigger fast?" "Close," Mr. Hensley said, scribbling a curve on the board. "It's when something grows faster and faster over time, like a fire or cancer. Any examples?" Sadie smirked, her voice cutting through the hum. "How about your evilness? That's growing pretty quick." The class laughed, and Lila sank lower in her seat. She knew that jab wasn't aimed at her, but it still felt personal. Mr. Hensley raised an eyebrow. "Not necessarily bad things. World population grows exponentially, too. Could be good or bad, depending on how you see it. So what's something that grows like that and is only good?" Silence stretched across the room. Lila chewed her lip, her mind racing. She didn't have an answer, not yet, but the question lingered, a tiny spark in the dark. "Homework," Mr. Hensley said, breaking the quiet. "Find something good that grows exponentially. Present it tomorrow. Good luck." As the bell rang, Lila grabbed her bag and slipped out, avoiding Sadie's gaze. In the hall, she nearly bumped into Miles, her lanky friend with glasses that always slid down his nose. "You okay?" he asked, his voice soft. She forced a smile. "Yeah, just stuff." He nodded, not pushing. "That exponential thing's weird, huh? Like, how do you even find something good that grows like that?" "I don't know," she admitted. "Maybe I'll figure it out." They walked in silence until Tessa joined them, her usual bounce muted. Lila noticed the red rims around her eyes. "You good?" she asked. Tessa sighed, tugging at her sleeve. "Not really. Abel's been a jerk again. Keeps saying I'm not pretty enough, that he could have any girl. I don't even know why I'm with him." Lila's stomach twisted. She'd seen Abel's temper, how he'd yell at Tessa in the parking lot, leaving her to walk home alone. "You deserve better," she said quietly. "Yeah, well, tell him that," Tessa muttered. "He thinks I'm hiding stuff, demanded my phone. I said no and he flipped out." Miles frowned. "That's messed up. He's acting like kindness is some rare disease he can't catch." Lila froze at that. Kindness. Could that grow exponentially? The thought was a thread, thin but tugging at her. She didn't say it out loud, not yet, but it stuck with her as they parted ways. That night, alone in her room, Lila scrolled through her phone, trying to distract herself from the note still burning a hole in her pocket. She remembered something her old history teacher had said once. "Your writing's a pleasure to read. Don't ever stop." It had made her feel seen just for a moment. What if more people got that feeling? What if kindness could spread like the rumors did? She grabbed a notebook and started sketching. A wall, covered in sticky notes, each one a compliment. It was silly, maybe, but it felt right. She texted Miles, "Got an idea for the homework? Meet me early tomorrow?" His reply came quick. "You bet. What's up?" "You'll see," she typed, a small smile breaking through. For the first time in weeks, she felt a flicker of hope. The next morning, Lila stood by her locker, a stack of sticky notes in her hand. Miles shuffled up, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "So what's this big plan?" She held up the notes. "A compliment wall. We write nice things about people, anonymously. and stick them up. If kindness grows exponentially, maybe it can change things around here. Miles tilted his head, considering. Like a chain reaction? Exactly, she said, her voice steadying. One kid I knew said his school did something like this with music and lights to teach respect. Worked wonders. I figure sticky notes are simpler. He grinned. I'm in. Let's do it. They started small, scribbling notes in the empty hallway. Lila wrote one for Tessa. You're stronger than you know. Miles added one for a quiet kid. Sam, your drawings are awesome. They stuck them on a blank stretch of wall near the cafeteria, where everyone would pass by. By lunch, a few kids had stopped to read them. A girl Lila didn't know peeled one off, "You've got a great laugh," and blushed, tucking it into her bag. Another kid, Jada, grabbed a pen and wrote her own. Whoever made this, you're cool. She stuck it up and Lila felt her chest lighten. But then Sadie sauntered over, her clique trailing behind. What's this, some loser project? She sneered, scanning the notes. Lila braced herself, but Miles stepped in. Just spreading some good vibes. You got a problem with that? Sadie rolled her eyes, but her gaze lingered on a note that read, You're naturally beautiful. She didn't rip it down. Instead, she muttered, Whatever, and walked off. It wasn't much, but it was something. Word spread fast. By the end of the day, the wall was dotted with notes, some messy, some heartfelt. You're a great listener. Thanks for sharing your fries. Lila watched from a distance as Tessa found hers, her eyes welling up. She turned to Lila and mouthed, You? Lila nodded, and Tessa hugged her tight. I needed that, she whispered. I ended it with Abel last night. He was screaming again, saying I'm worthless, but I walked away. Good for Toliu, Lila said, squeezing her back. You're worth way more than he thinks. That afternoon in math class, Mr. Hensley called for presentations. Lila's stomach churned. She hated speaking up, but she raised her hand. I think kindness grows exponentially, she said, her voice shaky but clear. When you're nice to someone, they're nice to others. It's like a chain reaction. That's what the wall's about. The room went quiet, then Mr. Hensley smiled. That's brilliant, Lila. Perfect example. A few kids clapped, and even Sadie didn't scoff. She just stared at her desk, her fingers tracing the edge. After class, Sadie caught Lila in the hall. That wall? Was that your idea? Yeah, Lila said, bracing for a jab. Sadie hesitated. It's not terrible. I got one that said I'm stylish. Kinda made my day. Lila blinked, unsure how to respond. Glad you liked it. Sadie shrugged and walked off, but the edge in her stride was softer. Lila exchanged a look with Miles, who whispered, Did that just happen? I think so, she said, a grin tugging at her lips. By the next day, the wall had doubled in size. Kids were writing notes in class, passing pens like contraband. Tessa stuck one up for Lila. You're the best friend ever. Even Jake, the class clown, added one. Whoever's got my back in gym, you rock. Lila overheard two girls by the wall, Ivy and Claire, gushing about Sadie. Her outfit's always so cute, Ivy said. She's like naturally gorgeous. Yeah, Claire agreed. Any guy'd be lucky to have her. She's a catch. Lila realized they'd written those notes too, and Sadie was reading them, her usual smirk replaced by something quieter. It was working, the kindness was spreading, pulling even the sharpest edges into its orbit. That night, Lila lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The school didn't feel so heavy anymore. She thought about what Miles had said earlier. Some schools out there have these free programs to stop bullying, all about building trust. Maybe we're onto something bigger. She didn't know if it'd last, but for now, it was enough. A week later, the compliment wall was a fixture, sticky notes spilling over onto nearby lockers, a riot of color and words. The cafeteria hummed with a different energy. Kids swapped stories about the notes they'd gotten, laughing over the goofy ones and clutching the sweet ones close. Lila sat with Miles and Tessa, watching it unfold. It's unreal, Tessa said, peeling an orange. Jada let me borrow her textbook yesterday when I forgot mine. She never even talked to me before. See? Miles said, pushing his glasses up. Exponential. One nice thing kicks off a dozen more. Lila nodded, but her eyes drifted to Sadie, who sat alone for once, reading a note that said, You're stronger than you think. She didn't crumple it. Instead, she slipped it into her bag, her face unreadable. Later, Lila found Sadie by the wall, holding a pen. You adding one? Lila asked, tentative. Sadie glanced at her. Maybe. I've been a jerk, huh? Lila didn't sugarcoat it. Yeah, but you don't have to be. Sadie sighed. I was in a bad place. Someone kept tearing me down, making me feel small. I guess I passed it on. You don't have to, Lila said. Kindness grows faster than hate. I've seen it. Sadie wrote something quick. You're pretty cool, wall girl, and stuck it up. They're happy? Lila smiled. Yeah. The next day, Sadie joined them at lunch, sliding into the extra seat like it was no big deal. Heard the new Ice song? She asked Tessa. It's called Watch Out. Pretty dope. Nope, but I'll check it out, Tessa said, grinning. Thanks for the tip. As they ate, a kid named Leo ran up, breathless. Someone's trashing the wall again. Lila bolted after him, the others close behind. In the hall, a few notes were ripped, scattered on the floor, torn and crumpled. Lila's heart sank, but then she saw Sadie picking them up, smoothing them out. Who keeps doing this? She muttered. No clue, Miles said, grabbing a broom, but we'll fix it. They worked together, taping the notes back up, adding new ones as they went. By the time they finished, the wall looked better than ever. Lila wrote one for the group. You're all amazing. Thanks for this. That afternoon, Tessa pulled Lila aside. I heard some kids talking about starting a wall at their old school. Said it changed everything there. Less fighting, more trust. Like those programs overseas where they get everyone involved to stop bullying. Really? Lila asked, her eyes widening. Yeah, Tessa said. Maybe we're starting something big. The next day, Mr. Hensley stopped Lila after class. That wall's got the principal's attention. They're thinking of making it permanent. You did good, kid. Lila blushed. It wasn't just me. Still, he said, you started it. That's what counts. As she walked home, Lila passed the wall one last time. A new note caught her eye. You made this place better. She didn't know who wrote it, but it didn't matter. The chain reaction was real, and it wasn't stopping anytime soon.